Hey guys, my name's Dan, and brought this plugin out of the woodworks, and this project as a whole actually something I started working on back in 2017. This plugin actually is from 2015, but it's actually fairly good wave sampler. So here's the sample of the project I'm working on, so you're not totally bored. Okay, and a little bit of east-west violins in there. Just kind of messing around with some ideas. So anyway, Massive is a really cool synth. Serum's a really cool synth. I get it. FM8. Even Citrus for the FL Studio users. Pretty handy synthesizer, actually. This one's wave sampler. At the same time is capable of producing its own with the oscillators that are built in here. So anyway, off first glance here, 3 oscillators, 4 layers. So 4 layers times 3 oscillators means 12 total oscillators. Lots of opportunity to do stuff there. So as you can see here, it says synth 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, this is a layer. It doesn't just change the oscillator, but also changes the filter. So you get 4 different filters. And you can make this filter stereo if you'd like. It's pretty handy if you throw the pan one way into the other. The arpeggiator as well is layered with it. The FX little module down here, the LFO module, the matrix module, and the envelope generator module all line up with whatever synth layer you have selected at that time. Up here, it's the master and the master FX. This stays the same. It doesn't change. So I did do a tutorial on this plugin years ago. I'm surprised it got as many views as it did because I'm not the plugin review tutorial genius. So, but anyway, I started revisiting this, and I just thought it was really cool because I've had the opportunity the past years to mess around with the other wave synths, and this one's actually pretty cool. Anyway, so here's a couple of things to mention real quick. So it's got a wavetable. Each one of these, again, you can select a different type of wave for it. And PD is phase distortion. And so there's the sine or a saw, sine squares, so, and parabolids, I'm not sure. But anyway, if it says sine saw, for example, actually, let me go to a layer that I'm not using so that I don't mess up what else I'm doing. So wavetable, right? So a VA is actually a VV. I know it. Virtual analog, yeah. The manual can be pretty helpful. So, so you got the pulse width right here. This is what you adjust to skew the wave. And I had something. Oh yeah, I have to turn the oscillator on. So between triangle and saw, but there's some finer details here with adjusting the sound, along with the octave, and then the interval. I think these are whole steps. If you want to do half steps, you got the Chevy tones right here. You can adjust those up or down. Key follow makes pretty self-explanatory. Although if you want, you can make it fixed, so no matter what keys, makes the same root sound, whatever you have the oscillator adjusted to make, it will make no matter the key pressed. Roll it up to like key 2, and it will change, but it only changes a little bit. Kind of could be handy if you could figure out the math of exactly how many cents it's moving up for each key. Then you might be able to break stuff down into like quarter tones. I don't know if that's the right word for that. But anyway, And then the key range, that, you know, that way, if for whatever reason you don't want the notes being played beyond a certain scope of MIDI information, you can set that. And over here, next to the volume, you can, and on switch, you can tell the oscillator which filter to output to. And I haven't set up the stereo imaging right there. So that just, it says plus and minus on either side of the center mark, but it's just plus or minus away from one filter to the other. It's a little misleading. I didn't figure that out for a while when I first came out with, started messing with this. So, and also with the filter, you can adjust the key to change adjust the filter cutoff as you go up and down in your keys, provided that you chose a filter in the first place. So you can, so the filter moves up and down with the key range, right? It's really cool. And then, so envelope, that's going to go along with your filter. I think it's kind of obscure to me right now, but I think it has something to do with how much of the signal is enveloped. I guess so. It's it just enhances the effect pretty much. You can also adjust these serial, so one actually goes through to the other, which would circumvent any panning that you did. Or actually, it goes through from the one to the other. So it's just going to be out the left side. Undo the serial, comes out both speakers, right? Because we have the final filter, not speakers, channels. Trying to use right words, right? So anyway, but I'm not using that for this case. It's really cool because what you can do is if you set different, if you've got like to kind of avoid phasing a little bit, you can split oscillators up so that you get if there is real world phasing, it happens out here, and then instead of in the programming it just allows for a few more options. If you keep the signal separate, instead of letting math do the figuring, you let the environment do the figuring on the phasing, and it can sound pretty. You can have some pretty cool effects if you adjust the signals in which oscillators are kind of doing what. If I go to layer 2, turn it on. I think I did that on both synths. Adjusted the panning okay, not as much on the synth 1, but I might as well have the key on both of them. I guess there's a drive for the filter too, which kind of, I guess, just something to do with how it's filtered. But I guess you have to have the right kind of scenario happening to hear its effect. Anyway, but I just wanted to make a video because this thing's really cool. So you got your wavetable, and we had touched on that earlier. So you got these different waves you can choose, and so you got the phase distortion, the resonance, the sync, the wavetable sign. You can so adjust it. Darn it, I messed up my. Well, that's all right. And then you can actually just mouse wheel over this, and it'll change. And I wanted to say that I know everybody's used to saw waves, right? But nobody hardly talks about ramp waves. But I want to say that in here there is actually a ramp wave, which actually is, it does sound different. It's one of those types of waves that isn't talked about as much. Unless you've taken some college and talked and you go over the old school waveforms and whatnot. Let's see. On our ultra saw, they've got a bunch of preset saw waved in different phases and whatnot and pitches, and so in this setting, your pulse width is going to be just basically your pitch variant for the different voices. Not a whole lot of heck of a lot of difference, but if more with the pitch was actually at a phase more, or not phase, but pitched differently more than. And then you can position the start time too, and this is basically it'll adjust the phase. Like if you add if you can load things too, samples if you want, and I messed around with this sample. You can edit wave samples that you load into this and do different stuff. Different stuff, but it's kind of finicky. It doesn't actually show you where the start time is. There's no line to show you. The loop line, you have to. I don't even know if that's going to show up in the screen recording. But these lines, and yeah, that. I was just messing around with stuff there. But anyways, I thought it was really interesting, though. If you know what you're trying to do, it actually gives you a lot of options on editing wave samples, aside from using oscillators to produce synthetic wave samples. So, custom wave, and this plugin comes in preloaded with a whole bunch of different kind of sounds. But you can't edit these sounds. But what you could do is record it, throw it in your sample file, and then load it. Actually made a couple generic, just real, like a sine wave and a saw wave. So, yeah, you can. And it'll ask you to if it wants to try to tune it based on whatever the algorithm picks up, or if you want to say no, and then it'll make it C, but it's already C anyway, so I notated it. And this saw wave is heavy on polarity for some reason. It's one of the ones that was in here that I just used. Now you can take the sample that it produces and then you can edit it. But and sometimes when it does that, if it does the read interpretation of the file, it'll adjust the oscillator here and the semitones here, trying to make it what it thinks it should be. It's heavy to the left for some reason. So you can either edit the whole file without clicking on it. I'm sure that the good old manual would tell you what those different edit options are. In fact, right here. Differentiate makes a sample sound more bright. That's real descriptive. Square it, it'll double all the frequencies. Okay, any other words that are not as common? Synth shaper, it just wave shapes it, which is, again, pretty vague. Alias makes the sample sound like an older sampler. Crush is a digital vintage effect, reduces the bit depth of the sample. Self-sync applies soft self-synchronization. What does that even mean? Removes DC from the sample, which is maybe the clicking or whatever. And you can noise it. Then you can re-sample it by adjusting the sample rate. Not really sure what that would really do besides provide more points of data for higher frequencies, but it's been shown that 44.1 kilohertz is sufficient for up to, like, what was the Nyquist on that, like 18? Well, it's half of 44.1, which is actually, no, that's over that. Now there's some MP3 file was actually below the 44.1, or it made it down like 16 or 17,000 hertz or something was its max. Anyways, looks like there is a 10-second. Okay, so there's a data limit. Obviously, you have lower sample rates, longer waves, but that's just the data amount. Custom wave. Yep, you could do that. It's got supposedly some physical modeling going on. Anyway, I won't bore you guys too much. Anyways, all right. So this is it didn't tell us what tube saturate is. It didn't say anything about that. Nope. Yeah, fractal waves too. Some different. Anyways, there's pretty good instructions or manual with it, but it doesn't go over everything. Or maybe it's just I can't find it or don't have the time. So different bit crushing it. It's, it's just you can mess around. You can make the sounds all funny and stuff like that. So, onward. So ultrasaw, we went over that. Noise fractal. All right. Analog, just basics. I really want to say that they had a ramp wave in here somewhere. I don't know why I'm thinking it. Custom wave, load wave. Okay, so these are all these. Was there SP? Nope. Well. Yeah. So the noise fractal, the ultrasaw. I mean, that's a lot of stuff to this, and like electronic alpha. Anyway, so that's pretty much the gist for the wavetable thing here. But it's you got 3 of them, you got 4 layers, you got a whole bunch of different wave sounds you can make and whatnot. So Anyway, I just thought I'd make a little video kind of showing like things about this, and that you know, you can change up, and you know, the matrix window here, just if you want a volume envelope, and you want it to, if you choose whatever kind of generator you want, and then you say I want it to affect, you know, the pulse width of this, you know, so that way, is when you hit a key, it'll adjust it via the volume envelope generator. So you can change your sounds, your you know, the type of whatever wave file that you have that you're messing with. You can change how it sounds as over time. Except for if I turn off, let me turn this ARP off. Not a whole lot of, I'm not sure what's it's not the best wave, actually, because it doesn't change a whole lot. All right, so you got the ADSR effect. And then how much you want the volume envelope generator to affect it. So if we use low value, it doesn't change it very much. If you use a high value, it changes it a whole lot. There's a cool sound. And then you'll use the knob to kind of change the amount that it changes, that the generator is allowed to change. Anyway, some crazy stuff. Oh well. Hopefully somebody out there finds some kind of information they can find useful. So thanks if you watched this far into the video. Have a good day.